What's up everyone, welcome back to another stream. Today a little bit later than usual. How is everyone doing? Happy weekend, happy Sunday. As you know, in this stream we're going to take a look at the market, try to predict what to expect for the week ahead. So that's basically what you're going to be doing. We take a look at different assets, so from FX, US indices, commodities as well, gold, oil, silver, and so on. And also, of course, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin to see, and crypto, to see if we're going to finally get to 100k or not. So come along again, join any or share with me any levels that you are looking for. So let's take a look at them together. Today is more of a higher time frame analysis, more of looking for bias for the week ahead, and maybe key levels that you can maybe anticipate to look for some opportunities in the market. And then throughout the week, I'm going to be back at my pre-market analysis. We're going to be doing or looking at more day-to-day analysis in terms of what to expect for the next trading session. So feel free to share. Let's take a look first at the news just to see what can we expect. Like last week, there was not any big new event. So it was quiet in that regard in terms, especially in the US. In the UK, did had CPI. It was slightly higher than expected. Interesting enough, CPI is starting to show slightly uptick. Also, that was the result 1 week ago in the US and now in the UK as well. On Friday, that was an interesting one, right? Because we had the manufacturing services PMI in the Eurozone. It was quite bad, and that's why we saw that big spike or big move to the downside all of a sudden in the morning on Friday. In the UK, doesn't really look that better neither. Again, with at this point services at 50, manufacturing lower as well. So again, the thing in here, it was in regards to the services PMI. It was below 50 on the Eurozone. The manufacturing has been already bad. And in the US, it's actually quite strong. Services at 57, that's actually quite good at this point. But that was last week. Again, another situation that's going on, and something that, in my opinion, is one of the most concern or kind of risk scenarios that the market is paying attention to, is what's going on in between Russia and Ukraine, right? And this starting to, apparently, this involvement of other countries, including the US, UK, and now France, if not mistaken, that they're starting to allow Ukraine to use their own missiles to attack into Russia. And again, this can escalate quite quickly. We have seen already this past week a lot of movement, unexpected and reaction from the market. Again, usually it has been a move to the downside on the indices, even the dollar and so on. So that's a little bit of a concern if this starts to escalate or not. Again, the timing is just quite interesting. They apparently waited for after the election and Trump winning the US election. I don't know, one of the big things that Trump said it was that it would find ways to put the war to an end quite quickly as soon as he took over charge of the office. Maybe that's not going to be the case if this just continues to escalate like this, right? But the timing is not is quite interesting. So we'll see what exactly is going to happen. But that's, in my opinion, one of the most risk-on situations that we have at this point in the market, and something that we're going to continue to follow. Again, it's not something that is actually anticipating in any news, right? That's not a scheduled situation. It's something that can happen without any kind of notice. So be aware of that in this regard. Looking forward next week, we have this interest rate decision in New Zealand. Again, expecting a 50 basis points cut. Then you have GDP on Wednesday in the UK. Again, next week is going to be Thanksgiving Day. So don't really expect, again, it's going to be bank holiday on Thursday, and then on Friday you have Black Friday. So it's always an interesting day to see how the market reacts to it, because it's kind of the best indicator for retail sales, right? To see if there was a big numbers or not on Black Friday. That basically is it's actually the best retail sales data that you can collect. a replacement of retail sales that you can collect on that day. So that's going to be interesting. So yeah, expect a move Thursday for sure. Most likely no one's going to be really active, especially in the afternoon. So a little bit of a shorter week in here. That's why we also have Core PC on Thursday and also on Wednesday and unemployment claims as well. So that's basically what you have, and then you're going to get into December and basically the last month of the year. Interesting enough as well, just to keep an eye on it, like is in terms of the interest rate and what the Fed is planning to do for the next meeting, the last meeting of the year on the 18th of December, right? Because you can see this number starts to increase. 1 month ago, there was a 27% possibility of keep the same rates, and at this point, that's basically at 50%, like 47. So it's basically a 50-50% chance of the Fed actually having another cut rate or remaining the same rates until the end of this year. One of the reasons again is because as you can see, the CPI, it was slightly higher than expected, and there is also the concern a little bit of what Trump is actually going to do as soon as he takes charge in terms of the tariffs and so on, and how can that affect eventually the inflation overall in the US. So no one who at this point would be actually surprised if the Fed Chair Powell actually would remain or keep the rates unchanged until the end of the year. The market is reflecting that at this point. Now, when you're looking at the market, like we have seen a tremendous bullish run on the dollar, right? Basically, since the end of September, that we were at these lows, and in October and now November, basically 2 months in a row, as you can see in here, in these two strong bullish monthly candles, we've run away from this range that we've been trading for the last 1.5 months or something like that. We basically just now broke new highs within this range, and let's see now where we are going towards to. All right, so again, because it's just an important high and the high that has been holding price for quite a while, we can start seeing some kind of push to the downside after taking this high. In my opinion, this is more of an engulf to the upside. I think price eventually can get closer towards this level in here, and talk about around 109 kind of levels. But before that, I think price could take a breath and actually move to the downside a little bit before potentially moving to the upside. And that's something that perhaps we can look for this week. Now, price also took that high in there on the left side, so that's a really good one. So it didn't just fake out this high or broke this high, but also faked out that level in there as well, now reacting within that structure. So that was already kind of a strong reaction, and I'm going to be curious to see what price is going to do. Like, this is one of the type of PAs that I don't really like to see. It's when you have such a big impulse, and then there is now a big distance between where price is ranging at this point and where the kind of that high is. Like, that kind of, it makes it hard just in terms where to place the stop loss. Like, because if you just place the stop loss in here, there's a high probability that price eventually is going to just fake out that level and then start pushing to the upside and to the downside. So I'm going to be waiting at least for this high to be faked out, and then perhaps you can start having a little bit of a correction in here on the dollar, at least to retest this level in here. Now, this level basically still may have respected that zone in there. I'm considering all the way this one. If it is this one, price didn't break it. If it is that one, maybe there's already a small break to the downside. We can start opening the door a little bit further and further down. We can also, of course, consider where this high in here was. Right, taking into consideration where that level was in there. That apparently it's exactly where price just respected. All right, it's finding a little bit of a level of support in there where before it was resistance. So we'll see. Like, personally, again, even considering where this high is reacting from, we can maybe look a little bit more to the left side, and perhaps you can see that there is a little bit of a zone slightly higher comparing where price is. All right, so price back out this level, as I mentioned, is kind of reacting. I may have already touched that zone underneath. I don't really have data to go below the 4-hour time frame to check exactly what's going on in here, but somewhere in here we could anticipate some kind of reaction, and after that eventually price can start moving more towards this level in here, and that's a little bit more of what I'm going to be looking for, to be honest. So that's something that I will be paying attention to. So if you do have new highs in here on the dollar index, perfect. That's what I'm going to be looking for eventually, for price to get a little bit closer to this level, and then maybe we can have a little bit of a move to the downside, right? Price could actually use this high here as a fake out. But on the other side, as I mentioned, perhaps we can just start using this structure and maybe can have just a fake out into here and then price move to the downside after that. Now looking into the lower time frame in here, right? That's a little bit of the tricky situation as well, because it was such a strong spike up that it's hard a little bit to see even if there is anything in here that price could use in there. Maybe if you go into the tick charts, maybe you can find it, but in here it's a little bit of a tricky situation to define that. So yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen in here, but I would like to see actually that high being faked out before price moving to the downside. Overall, the bias is still kind of bullish. All right, there's not exactly any reason to not consider that this dollar index wants to continue to go higher, but I could see a little bit of a relief again, as I mentioned, after taking such an important high and that level as well. I could see eventually price kind of pausing a little bit before eventually getting into this next level in there. All right, so that's something to look at. If price actually starts moving a bit more to the downside, what can we expect, right? Eventually, again, for sure, we do need to break below that low, but if that happens, then we could eventually look for price to go closer to this level in there. All right, so that could be this move to the downside all the way, even taking below those lows, and from here we perhaps could try to find new bullishness at around this level in here. We're talking about around 106. So that could be something to pay attention to in here on the dollar index. Maybe even that level could be quite interesting as well. Yeah, these are going to be basically the levels where I'm going to be looking for in here on the dollar index. Moving along, and now looking at the US indices, right? I think this is going to be an interesting week. All right, so we created those all-time highs after the US election result. We basically moved 1 week all the way to the upside, breaking new all-time highs, and since then price eventually starting to move a little bit more to the downside. Now, in my opinion, there's maybe still a little bit of space. There's not a little bit, there's actually perhaps all this space in here that S&P could eventually fill. We actually even managed to break below that low, so we could eventually fill all of this. Now the question mark is price actually going to end up respecting and creating kind of a double top from these highs, the all-time highs, or is price ready to create actually new all-time highs and eventually finding some more bearishness and perhaps pushing price to the downside in here, right? That move in here, it was quite good. Price respected that low and continue to move higher. Maybe there's some kind of trend line as well that you can look for in here to see, right? So in my opinion, that's going to be an interesting one. It's about what price is going to do around this level. Is it going to respect it? Again, there's maybe this level, there's even maybe that extreme in there where price can even go as well, somewhere closer to that level. In here at the extreme, yeah, price does get closer to that level, then I'm looking for price to actually end up breaking new all-time highs. It looks like that price already respected most of this part in here, okay, most of that level in there. Yeah, and then yes, and then in terms of shorts, like if price targets in this case, if price does actually want to make this move to the downside, is literally just to get closer to this level in here. All right, so that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting to see what the S&P is going to be doing closer to this level. Eventually, Nasdaq is going to follow as well the same path. Nasdaq actually reacting from a much better level, in my opinion. Right, Nasdaq actually reacted from this structure in here. May have not really reached the final destination, which would be perhaps closer to this level in here. But it's actually quite of a nice one, because what happened in here is the following, and this is sometimes why maybe you shouldn't really expect price to go all the way to respect this level, and maybe expect price to react from something above, all right, or eventually that's on in here, which is definitely still fresh. And the reason for that is that price actually kind of created that level, price end up respecting it in here, and then creates a little bit of a compression. This is the next momentum that we have in here, like, so in reality this is the level. So basically whatever goes in alignment with this high, it actually ends up being all the way in there. And that's why you don't really just look for lines in there, but you're looking for zones that price creates around those important levels of structure. All right, and that's basically where price has been reacting at this point. and then eventually if it does want to continue to move a little bit more to the downside, then the target, it will be a little bit more closer to this level in here. Now at the highs in here, yes, there's maybe still that level as well, and perhaps just the same thing that I just mentioned in here when looking at potentially this range that we can eventually look for example. This one was already one of them. A second thing in here, and then we do have the next one somewhere in there, right? But as you can see, a lot of it has been compressed already on the way down, which starting to put a little bit of the zone a little bit underneath that, which means that price eventually can just navigate and break out of it until it gets a little bit closer to this level in here. But yes, in my opinion, in here price actually reacts from an okay level, which means that may not really need or have the need to actually go all the way. But now when looking a little bit more of the bigger picture, yes, I would prefer to see actually price going slightly lower in there. But let's see, it's an interesting compression the way price is moving up. Strong move down, but then finding some strength and price continue to move to the upside. So I'm going to be curious to look for this. If price eventually starts breaking the all-time highs, then again, it's the same story. I made a video about it, how to trade all-time highs in this particular situation. It's about just waiting to see what price is going to do after that. If it is just a small fake out and comes back into the structure straight away, then perhaps you can look actually for those shorts. If price actually continues not to hold this level after breaking and continues to move, then you need to wait again to see some weakness from price and so on and so forth before looking for those moves to the downside. Now, Dow is actually the one that is moving a little bit stronger comparing with the other two. And yeah, it can continue to go higher, basically kind of reacted to something, some level in here in the middle. And since then, yeah, we'll see. Again, this level in here could still work a little bit, but again, it's all-time highs. It looks like that maybe price does want to create new levels in there, and only after that, perhaps you can move a little bit to the downside again. It looks like that this will actually manage to respect that level, so it makes it a bit more bullish as well. So we'll see. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you do end up creating new all-time highs in here. And we have DAX as well, which end up breaking below that level, kind of now reacting a little bit from this structure. And I'm curious to see how DAX is going to react around this level. Now we do have such a big range in here, and eventually you could even fake out these highs and then eventually moving to the downside after that. Now that you have a few lows in here breaking below this structure, that could eventually happen and pushing price a little bit more to the downside in there. So that's something to bear in mind. And yeah, we'll see what's going to happen from this level. And then there's maybe one more in there that we can look for. So you can have maybe something in here or a little bit above that level. Otherwise, price let it take the highs and then move to the downside, right? So again, when you did have that break in there, again, this level actually can already be deleted because price already respected that. Yeah, this is a nice bullish signal. Yeah, price respecting this level in here actually makes it a little bit bullish, which is quite nice. And then price actually has been moving to the upside after or since then. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Now looking at Bitcoin, right? So yeah, basically there's no doubt that 100k is going to be filled. I think everyone is anticipating that. It's interesting that we are finding some kind of resistance just underneath that. But 100k is going to be filled and it's going to be touched eventually, right? And then the question mark is what's next? What can you expect after that? Like, is price, will Bitcoin just continue to move and skyrocket to the upside or not? Now this is an interesting level. I could see price reacting from this level and eventually continue to go to the upside. I think at this point maybe that will be the best scenario, is to try to find which levels were left behind during this move to the upside, and when price gets there, maybe just go long in there, right? In here, this was actually kind of a nice supply level. That's okay, but yeah, eventually expecting price to touch that 100k. I think everyone will be quite surprised if price doesn't really break through that level. And after that, we'll see if there's going to be a lot of momentum straight away, or if price is going to just fake out that level and push price a little bit more to the downside. Like eventually, I wouldn't be surprised if you do get closer to that previous highs that we had. Okay, maybe price could retest a little bit again. If we actually just go all the way below this level, then we can go much further down. All right, so taking into consideration this level, if you do go below that level, it could eventually go closer to this level in here. But for now, yeah, for now, perhaps can react from there and just move to the upside. And again, we'll see what's going to happen next in here. But yeah, looking like this is one of the fresh levels, first fresh levels that we have. So let price maybe take this low and then push to the upside after that. Yeah, that would be a little bit more of my scenario. Ethereum was an interesting one. This was something that actually we were looking for, and the reason in terms of anticipate momentum to the upside on Ethereum, and the reason for that, or to look for the timing for this move actually to happen, we looked at Ethereum Bitcoin. All right, so actually looking at this chart, and this is something that we shared as well, it was to see eventually when Ethereum Bitcoin eventually would react from or approach this demand zone in here, right? And you're looking for some bullishness from this level, which would mean that Ethereum would move stronger, or it will make a stronger move comparing with Bitcoin. And that's basically what happened exactly the moment that price got closer to this demand zone in there. Now, it doesn't really mean that this is going to be the full reversal, and from here Ethereum is going to start getting a little bit more strength comparing with BTC. The price can eventually even go closer to that level, but this looks like a nice level to look for that. And you had that, right? Again, we saw that Bitcoin was literally breaking through the 80, 90, getting really close to 100k, while Ethereum was just in a range, basically not moving. And now we are finally having that move. Again, this level definitely needs to break, right? This high needs to eventually break in here to start pushing slightly higher. But yeah, overall, we'll see what's going to happen in here and what kind of opportunities you're going to have at around this structure. Breaking above this high in here. Yeah, breaking above this high basically starts opening door for price to get closer to this level in there. So that's something to bear in mind. Again, maybe perhaps this level in here is still okay. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then looking at Ethereum, that's basically what you had, right? Price basically kept respecting this level, another level that you mentioned. But then in terms of the timing, there you go. In here, it's exactly the moment that this chart in the Ethereum Bitcoin actually reacted from that month. Yeah, that level is still fresh. Again, eventually, of course, anticipating Ethereum to continue to move more to the upside and start perhaps getting into that level. But this is still one of the last zones that is still in here to hold price. Again, if price does break above that level, then you can feel quite quickly all the way this range into the next level in there, right? That level of compression can be filled quite quickly. So yeah, that's an interesting one in here on Ethereum. Of course, price can retest till this level, and let's see what's going to happen. But yeah, keeping an eye on the Ethereum Bitcoin can be quite interesting in terms of confluence to see when to expect certain type of move. Solana broke new all-time highs. All right, so that's one of the strongest as well that you can look for. Maybe one percentage-wise, one of these three that can actually grow much more. Again, from 250, I think it can go easily maybe to 500 wouldn't be a surprise, and then eventually even aiming to 1000, and just all of a sudden it can be 4x from where it is right now. Now it's about finding the right timings, the right opportunities, and levels that you want to perhaps be participating on that move. So we'll see what's going to happen next. Now that did it not? Yeah, I think it ended up taking it. Yeah, it ended up creating new all-time highs from here. So yeah, we'll see what's going to happen in there. Now looking at the individual currency pairs, like not individual currency pairs, the currency indices, and you're looking at Euro index, and this is quite a concern for the Euro pairs. Like again, as you could see, first of all, there are different and many there are several situations in here that can be of a concern for the Eurozone. The situation between Russia and Ukraine, of course, even though that already started more than 2 years ago, that's still quite of a concern, especially because it looks like it starts to escalate into a different phase. Secondly, the Eurozone in general, in particular Germany, where continues to have data that is quite of a concern. And as you could see just last Friday with the manufacturing and services PMI. Like now it was not just the manufacturing but also services below 50, which is definitely a concern in here for the Eurozone. Again, the ECB already started to cut at 3.4% if not mistaken where it is right now, so it's starting already to create a little bit more of a easier to borrow in terms of creating a little bit of a stimulus for the Eurozone economy, but the results are not there, right? The results are not there, and as a consequence, as you can see in here, especially after Trump won it, again, as you can see in here, since the 5th of November, 65th of November, basically it's a completely fall off in here on the Euros index, and not just Euro index, but across many of the Euro pairs, including Euro dollar. And technically, looking at this chart, it doesn't really look like it's going to just stop where it is right now, right? So again, just similar to the dollar index, it may have a bounce and maybe price can bounce a little bit, but overall, all this looks a lot of compression here. If price actually goes all the way back closer to this level, I wouldn't be surprised. So attention to this 1000 level in here. Maybe there can be some kind of round number in there that can hold price a little bit, but overall, this doesn't really look good. Price respected quite nicely that level in here, and then respected it again. It took a little bit of time to move to the downside. It looks like it was kind of a distribution in there until finally start gaining momentum. And yeah, that's a typical also reversal pattern that tends to happen in here until finally price gains some momentum. So that's what we have in here. Again, the spike was quite similar. Again, with those news, price even managed to break below that low, kind of reacting from some structure in there. So yeah, we'll see what's going to happen in here, but I wouldn't be surprised if eventually this Euro index just continues to move to the downside. And then we have the yen pairs, right? And yen pairs, especially the yen index, it's not really a surprise of what we have seen in here. We have actually anticipated that move. We have been waiting and looking for price to react positively from this level for many weeks at this point. Meanwhile, price created a little bit of PI, even creating a double bottom here, sorry, and then kind of retested one more time this level, trying eventually to push this yen index a little bit more to the upside. Like it starts to break some highs at this level, but overall the range is still maybe out this, and we'll see what the yen index is going to do, right? We'll see if price eventually is going to get closer to that level, and it could, or we're going to have a little bit of a bearish move in here or not. But yeah, at this point I would like to see this yen index to fill that range to the upside, and that's basically what we have in here. We can get VIX as well, kind of anytime that VIX is getting closer to this 12 mark, somewhere in 13-12, expecting perhaps a little bit more of a push to the upside. That level is quite good as well. Yeah, so we'll see, maybe not even close the gap in there, which means that can create some volatility, and yeah, maybe the US indices can do the opposite, as usually happens. All right, now looking at individual currency pairs. All right, so euro dollar. Right, so as always, we start with euro dollar in here. So what do we have? Right, again, another important break to the downside, just similar to what we had on the euro index, and also the opposite on the dollar index. Now, price is actually reacting from an interesting level, right? It's literally this demand zone, and it's not a bad level at all, where euro dollar is reacting. It's this level in here, it's quite good. If price starts breaking below that level, there's maybe something else in here, and then price starting to go slightly lower. So now the question mark is this the low, right? Is this the low, and is price going to move to the upside from here? The range is basically the same as that we had on the dollar index, and I think perhaps you could use a little bit of this low to create some liquidity and go to the upside, like similar to the other scenario where to place the stop loss. Of course, if you're trying to cover all this range in here, becomes quite of a wide stop loss. So maybe you want to see some kind of structure being created first, and eventually anticipate that that's actually the low for now, and moving to the upside afterwards. Like we kind of fake out a little bit of the structure, still respecting those lows. So is this the level that price wants to go higher? Price has really managed to break new all-time high, no all-time price, new highs within the structure. Now I do like that we did manage to break above the highs in here just before this push. All right, that's actually kind of an interesting bullish scenario, even though price just respected literally that previous level in there, but it starts opening the door from around this range, potentially to go slightly higher, even though it kind of reacted from there. But the reaction now is done, and price perhaps may be free to start moving way higher from here. We also have that low, sorry, that high as well being broken in there, which eventually could aim to go slightly higher as well in there. So again, we are having highs being broken as price continues to move to the downside. So we'll see what's going to happen next. Again, as I mentioned, that level in there, that month zone looks good. Question mark now is price ready to turn from here or not? So that's a little bit more of what we can look for in here. So yeah, I would like to see now that we managed to take this low, I would like to see some bullish momentum in here, or some kind of reaction from the euro dollar. Of course, you do need to pay attention to eventually how price may react from there, and what kind of behavior you're going to have within this range. All right, so that's something to bear in mind in here. The bigger picture, yeah, bigger picture, you can maybe still a little bit more to the downside until eventually when price gets closer to this level. Again, price end up respecting those highs just the same way that dollar has respected those lows, and since then there's been just a one-way direction in here. We'll see if that eventually is going to change. A pound dollar has been also quite negative, and it's approaching, all right, it's approaching this interesting level in there. It's actually an interesting zone where price is reacting right now, and yep, it's quite reasonable in there. I could even see price eventually going slightly lower, to be honest. So that's going to be an interesting one, right? So we end up taking those lows in there. And then price kind of retested a little bit. It kind of pick out some of these highs in here, but perhaps still respected that structure. So again, on the pound dollar, of course, this is the next zone in here that we need to pay attention to, and we'll see how price may react from here. In here, perhaps you can even fake out the low one more time, or eventually price just respect. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of this range in here from this level. We could have at least one more low being created before pushing higher, even though again where the low is reacting from is quite good. Yeah, it's kind of that level in there. It's a good zone where price is reacting. So yeah, we'll see if we're going to have a little bit of a bounce in here, which eventually I think that's going to happen. All right, again, the pound looks like it's quite weak as well, especially since the budget announcement. So we'll see. Euro pound, this is one that meanwhile starts ranging, right? Again, it's a little bit wider in terms of the range of the levels where price is reacting from, but it's something that we can perhaps taking a look into it. Like, I was looking actually for a potential long, but that was the move that with that big spike quite quickly, so didn't really manage to do anything in here. And I'm curious to see how price may react. Again, price is reacting from that level. We may continue to be within a range in here. There's not exactly any relevant news next week for the pound or the euro, which means that the euro pound can perhaps continue to range within this structure. So if you do want to look for trades in there, perfect. Otherwise, just be cautious with that. And yeah, if price does start to go slightly more to these lows, maybe you can try to find a long if that's your idea. Otherwise, just wait maybe for better price action around this level in here, something that we had. yeah, we'll see. Aussie dollar is another one that also is trying to push higher, and price end up respecting that high. We do have that level in there. Let's see how price may react from it. I would have preferred actually if this high had managed to break this previous structure. Looking a little bit more to the downside, again, eventually Aussie dollar can actually end up taking these lows as well, perhaps get a little bit closer to that level. But we'll see what's going to happen in here. This is still a valid demand zone, and the way price is moving, yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. It's just a level that I think it's important to keep an eye on. So I have an alert there, and then you'll see what's going to happen next. Right. Euro Aussie is basically doing a little bit of the opposite. Again, it's another negative euro pair that we have seen, and price just also taking important structure in there and getting a little bit closer to that demand zone. Again, this is something that we have been also anticipating and looking for. So we'll see how price may react now from closer to this level. In there again, that same move, price kind of respecting still this level. So perhaps if price does get a little bit closer into this zone in there, maybe we can have some buy pressure here on this euro Aussie. If that happens, then Aussie dollar will need to actually move to the downside. Yeah, we'll see. Pound Aussie is also kind of starting to approach closer to this low, which can even be faked out, to be honest, and price can even eventually react from something more underneath. Yeah, so that's just something to keep an eye on as well. Good move to downside, not really much to report in here. And then we get into the Aussie yen. And into the yen pairs. So like again, the yen pairs have been moving quite aggressively, in this case more to the upside, something that we've been looking for, which means that these individual yen pairs are actually moving to the downside. Now this Aussie yen, everyone can see, right, that there was this break of this low in there, even though price just respected immediately after that this zone, which makes it a bit bullish. Again, when price breaks a low but then respects exactly basically this left shoulder, that makes it more of a bullish move instead of an engulf to the downside in the moment. And that's basically what we had, right? We start by picking out the high that actually make out this push downside. Again, now this structure here looks like it was screaming to be taken in terms of liquidity, and that's what happened. Basically price reacting from this level, also in alignment with these highs in there, and that's exactly what ended up happening in here. So yeah, we'll see. Again, bigger picture, this looks like it's a continuation more to the downside. Yeah, bigger picture, we'll see if there's anything even in here to... All right, now moving along into this the remaining of the yen pairs, right? And you have dollar yen. Dollar yen is at an interesting zone. All right, so we kind of got a little bit closer to that level. Eventually could of course continue to push to the upside. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually do that, but before that maybe can have a little bit more of a move to the downside. All right, so price just basically also took that low, and I do like this level. That's basically the zone that I was looking for eventually for this dollar yen to go and react from, potentially move to the downside from there. So that's a level that I'm going to be looking for. Now we do have this high that we can also use as liquidity, and so we'll see. Right, price is indeed respecting this level. Yeah, we'll see. If you do manage to break below that low first and then go higher, then yeah, makes it perhaps a little bit more bearish, depending on actually where this potential low is going to react from. Like if it reacts already straight away from here, maybe that actually makes it then bullish. So yeah, there's a little bit of spice to pay attention to in here on the dollar yen, still within this range, right? Without even considering the possibility of actually price wanting to go slightly more to the upside. Yeah, so we'll see. Euro yen, again, another one that is quite negative, and this is something that we've been looking for, right? We start noticing those walls being broken, price eventually would move to the downside. This was a nice range, price kind of respected nicely that level, and now is reacting from this demand zone in here, right? Everyone can see it as well. A nice, basically closing a little bit of this gap. It doesn't really mean that price has reached the final destination, and not exactly that that's the case. But it's a good reaction. It's a good reaction where it reacted from. Yeah, basically creating a little bit of that range. Not really much going on in here. The way price is just moving. Yeah, we'll see. All right. So again, if the eurozone continues just to, or the euro pairs continue to just move to the downside, then one of the first potential moves can be just reacting from something in there and pushing to the, yeah, potentially pushing to the downside. This of course may not be the final destination from this move down, right? Price may actually want to go closer. All right, pound yen also moving. All right, again, a lot of compression in here, so this is another one that eventually could move a little bit more to the downside, and just similar to the yen index as well, where there's maybe more room to the upside as well. These yen pairs could also continue to move a bit more to the downside. That was kind of a nice reaction. Kind of missed a little bit of supply in there, but overall kind of good reaction from here. We have new lows being broken, which means that perhaps maybe it wants to continue to move in there. Yeah, so we'll see. This is a good level to look for a long. Let's bounce, to be honest. Yeah, if we count it level. Yeah, perhaps if price actually starts breaking that high in there, perhaps we can go long from here. Yeah, that could happen, to be honest. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. What's next in here, right? So we can actually look at CAD yen as well. CAD yen, I think perhaps from the highs, like as long as we kind of continue to respect that level, otherwise price can go actually slightly higher. And as long as we do have maybe this level in here still fresh, all right, I think that can be still a valid target to aim for, which means that whenever price gets a little bit closer to here, maybe we can find some selling pressure in there. I do think that this value in here is still fresh. All right, that's kind of what stands out to me at this point. So something above this high, I think price can still eventually find some selling pressure. And yeah, price basically reacting a little bit from this level, but in my opinion, eventually this could be a good target to aim for. Yeah, so this CAD yen can be quite interesting as price is reacting from that level, getting really close to that level. Now looking at the CAD pairs, right? So we also had this push to the downside after again price reacted as expected from that weekly level. So that was a really good move, and then looking for price to go all the way through test this previous level support resistance, basically resistance becoming support, all those highs. And that's what we had, right? So that was the initial target. Any target from that level, it would be definitely to test something in here. We may have actually broken slightly below that level, which means that maybe this dollar CAD may wants to go slightly lower. If price does get closer to the highs, maybe there's definitely still an opportunity to look for shorts somewhere in there. But bigger picture, again, bigger picture, we are definitely a little bit more of a bullish scenario. But this could be also the zone where price could find some bounce and perhaps maybe even target this level before moving to the upside again. So yeah, a little bit of both possibilities in here. Right, so we'll see. I don't like this level in here. This level looks like kind of an engulf to the downside. So it may start opening the door. Is price just going to respect this level and push lower? This was a nice one, to be honest. But aside from that, not really much going on. Yeah, looking at the euro CAD, right? Again, continuation to the downside. Basically, we had that engulf down, so we have been looking for price eventually to fill out of this, and price even managed to break below that, getting into this level, and eventually can even go further down, right? But interesting enough, now it took out the structure, and we'll see what's going to happen next in here on the euro CAD. The scenario is quite similar to the euro dollar. Again, a few nuances that are slightly different, but the focus is going to be eventually when price gets closer to that level in there again. Yeah, we'll see. It doesn't really look fresh, but that's where price is reacting right now. Yeah, we'll see. And then we have also pound CAD, which made something similar, right? So a strong push to the downside in here, something that we're also looking for. Now that price basically got really close to that level, we had that last fake out in there, price starting to break some lows and now pushing to the downside. This is a great continuation pattern that happened. First break the lows, right? Then fake out and then continuation, and yeah, great reaction from both this level and then that level in there as well. And since then, basically just a really strong push to the downside, aiming and getting really close to these lows in there. So something to keep an eye on as well. Dollar franc Swiss just continues with this momentum, and we may go all the way through this compression. Again, this is a nice interesting supply level. Then we have that one, and perhaps even going all the way above this high. So yeah, dollar franc Swiss, it's quite interesting at this point. So we'll see what's going to happen, right? It respected that target that we're looking for. All right, so we were kind of looking for those sales that price respected, and since then kind of moving to the upside. It already retested the level. No, it didn't. So that could be one of the initial sales in here, just to test this level and then continue to push even more to the upside. So that's something to bear in mind in here. Dollar franc Swiss, as price is getting closer to this level, like a monthly level in there. Yep, so that's going to be an interesting one as well in here. And if the dollar index actually finds some selling pressure, maybe this dollar franc Swiss can also find some of the pressure as well as it's approaching these levels in here. What else? Gold, right? So gold is recovering again. It reacted from that initial target that you're looking for. You feel all of this getting into this next structure. Basically, that was the zone that we mentioned, and it's been quite bullish. And yeah, I'm curious to see. I think gold is should be expected a little bit of a reaction. Price kind of had that move still underneath this level and then continue to push higher. We'll see. We'll see if we're going to have a little bit more of that bearish move. Aside from that, then maybe some here or then eventually in there, where you could see, and then of course, like the extreme of the extreme gets in closer to this level in there. Yeah, so that's gold, which continues to not to be strong. Is it going to go all the way and break all-time highs again? Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But before that, maybe we can oscillate a little bit between this level, and that's maybe an opportunity to look for. What else? Silver has been a bit more bearish, to be honest. We did manage to break below that low in there. We'll see how price may react from here, and if it wants to challenge, eventually getting closer to this level could be quite interesting, even to perhaps look for another short or so in there. So that's something to bear in mind. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so that one as well, a little bit in correlation with gold. We'll see what's going to happen. And then of course we have oil, which it was one of the pairs also that we were looking for longs. As price was getting closer and closer to these lows, we were starting to position ourselves as long. Again, WTI actually managed to fake out this level. Crude oil never managed to, or Brent never really managed to fake out the lows. Kept respecting it. In here, as you know, we already have a high being broken. Not exactly on Brent, but this one basically starts to show indication that price wants to go higher, and it looks like that's the direction where this price of oil is going towards to. Right, so we've been ranging a little bit, as you can see, even on this side, price kind of ranged for a while at around these price levels. Talk about between 66 or 67 all the way to 72, 73 mark. Right, it's basically the same thing that we had in here. And it's basically what we have in here as well. Like, and this is lasting already kind of a month in there. It was kind of a full month as well, kind of around this structure in there. So we'll see. We'll see if oil it just wants to continue to go higher. It's going to find some kind of resistance as it's approaching this level. We even have that next level in there. It's a bit more fresh, and then eventually price can even go even higher in there. Right. So that's an interesting one to pay attention to. We did manage to break slightly below that low. So that's a sign, potential sign in here that price may wants to find some selling pressure, but let it go a little bit, maybe closer to this level before looking for that move. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one as well. In terms of what I mentioned, in terms of Brent, as you can see, price actually kept trading above this level, and in here you don't really have that break to the upside neither. Right, so that's just something to look for. Yeah, we'll see how price may react from that level. Aside from that, it looks again quite strong within this range. So yeah, we'll see, right? But again, even in terms of the situation, even though in the Middle East it's calmed down a little bit, now it's switching more the Russia Ukraine that's been on the highlights recently. So we'll see. That's basically it from what I'm going to be looking for. Again, in terms of the dollar, question mark in terms of are we going to break or not, or continue this bullish momentum, or are we going to find a little bit of the selling pressure? I wouldn't mind, or I wouldn't be surprised if we do that after taking that important high on the left side. We do have this spike that happened on Friday. I would like maybe that high to be taken, and then price finally to find more selling pressure. Basically the same story on the euro dollar, but the opposite. Created this low. It's a good reaction, good demand zone where price is reacting from. Again, we took a massive level in here, so we could find some buy pressure from this level, or even if someone is short, maybe start to pull some profit from here, which could end up being as a buy pressure and pushing euro to the upside. Again, quite similar as well on the pound dollar could happen a little bit more of the same as well, and as a consequence you could see that a little bit of bullishness as well on the Aussie dollar, New Zealand, and so on. Right, again, dollar CAD could also continue to move a little bit more to the downside at an interesting level. We'll see what's going to happen. The yen pairs as well. I am curious to see if we're going to have again dollar yen. I do like the level in here at the highs, and the prices want to go slightly higher. It can, but I do like that level. Across the other yen pairs, euro yen, pound yen, and so on, I could see a little bit of a recovery from our prices, and then eventually a continuation to the downside. Again, pay attention to the yen index to see what's going to happen in there. The gold, I'm curious to see if price going to continue to be bullish and retesting the previous all-time highs, or it's going to find some kind of resistance as it gets closer to that level. Maybe not in a straight line like it has been moving. Maybe we can find some compression now as price is moving in there, which means that there may be some opportunities on intraday. Look for both either longs or shorts depending on the buys that you have and what kind of opportunities you find. And it's quite similar on the US indices, right? We have S&P and Nasdaq that it looks like they are approaching the previous all-time highs, and there is maybe still some fresh levels in there which can hold price down, and that's something to bear in mind in here. Dow can eventually break all-time highs, and we'll see what happens next. And then in terms of crypto, of course, there's basically a countdown to see when eventually we're going to get 100k. May happen next week. If not next week, then maybe in December. I think eventually that's going to happen. It's just kind of that typical manipulation of pausing just before that. Question mark is what's going to happen after that. Like, is going to be a complete fake out and price moving down, or price which regains momentum and goes from 100, 110, 120. That's going to be an interesting one. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you again tomorrow. Yeah, so I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.